So it's been 5 days since I've started intermittent fasting and I've lost 2 kilograms. So my weight was 72 kilograms when I started, and when I checked my weight yesterday it was around 68.5. But just for argument's sake, let's say it's just 2 kilograms, because weight can fluctuate due to water weight, based on the amount of food you've got in your body, so on and so forth. So let's just say I lost 2 kilograms in total. So in this clip, what I want to share with you is what I think the 3 main reasons are as to why I lost that weight. So number 1, let's get started with the most obvious reason. Alright, so the main principle that intermittent fasting is based on is that you've got an eating window, right, which is called the feeding window, and then you've got a fasting window, right? Some people fast for 12 hours, some people 14, some people 16, and some people 18, right? I was fluctuating between a 14-hour and a 16-hour fast. I think yesterday I got a 17-hour fast, but let's just say it was either 14 or 16-hour fasts, right? So if you look at it for obvious reasons, right, when you've got a feeding window, which is a very restricted period of time, the amount of total calorie consumption that you can have is going to be less for obvious reasons, right? Previously, when I was in intermittent fasting, I would start eating so I wake up at 4:30, and let's say I have a cup of milk tea. The milk alone in that, and if it had sugar, has got calories in itself. So from 4:30 in the morning up until about 9:30, 10:30 in the night, I'm feeding my body calories. But when I've got a restricted window, regardless of what I'm eating in that window, the total amount of calories I can possibly put into my body is definitely going to be lower. So I think this is one of the main reasons that I would have lost that amount of weight that I did when I was intermittent fasting. So real quick, ketosis is when your body starts using the fat reserves in your fat cells for energy. This happens if it is not getting an adequate intake or inflow of carbohydrates. So that brings us to reason number 2. When you are intermittent fasting and you have a fasting window of say 14 hours or 16 hours or 18 hours, you are depriving your body of the regular carbohydrate intake. So what your body does is it adapts and begins to use your fat cells or your fat reserves in your body for energy. So that is the second reason as to why I think I lost those 2 to 3 kilos and burnt out a lot of fat from my body. So number 2 is ketosis. So the third reason, while I was intermittent fasting, I continued to maintain the same amount of activity that I do usually. Apart from my daily running around, of course, my exercise, which ranged from say an hour and a half to at least 40 minutes a day of some form of intense physical activity, right? And coupled with that, the food that I was consuming when I broke fast was high in nutrition, because I wanted to make sure that if I'm having a restricted time window, that I get in all the necessary nutrition to my body in that window. So as a result, I was eating a lot of leafy greens, I was having green juices, I was using sweet potato for carbohydrates, things like chickpeas as well, and then of course a whole range of veggies, which I think I've been sharing with you guys on my stories. So that obviously meant that I was eating food that was much more cleaner, much higher in nutrition, which both are factors that are going to help me with fat loss. And at the same time, like I mentioned, the amount I could squeeze in within that window was really small. So I think the third reason is, while I was intermittent fasting, I ate better, and I also maintained my regular amount of activity. So that would be the third reason as to why I think I was able to lose